New Jets GM Adam Gase is already making some moves. Not only is he the head coach, but also he's the new GM, at least the interim GM for the New York Jets. And he has already made a move. He has traded the old regime's first round pick and old regime's future in Darron Lee, linebacker, to the Kansas City Chiefs. And Darron Lee, he hasn't really lived up to the first round potential that he was drafted as out of Ohio State just a couple of seasons ago. A player that was looked at as a future piece in the middle of the New York Jets defense, and now he's gone. Of course, the Jets, they've pretty much filled those positions. They have Avery Williamson, who they got last year from the Tennessee Titans in free agency, and now they've signed CJ Mosley from the Baltimore Ravens. So they're loaded at the interior linebacker position. And really, Darron Lee, he wasn't fitting inside, he wasn't fitting outside, and he doesn't really fit what the Jets are doing in the long-term goals of their franchise defensively. So they move on from Darron Lee. They trade him to a place and a destination that is in need of speed, is in need of athleticism at the linebacker position, and that's exactly who grabs him. The Kansas City Chiefs send a 2020 sixth-round pick for Darron Lee, again, a former first-round pick of the New York Jets. And I think this is just a good move for both sides overall, because the Jets, they were looking to trade him. They were looking to move on from him. He wasn't fitting in. He needs a new place to go, a new place to begin his career once again and start over. And that's exactly what Darron Lee is going to have in Kansas City. I think from a Jets perspective, obviously, you would have liked to have seen this guy work out for your team, but it didn't really seem like he was going to have much playing time at all. So they move on from him. They get a pick out of it. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they get a linebacker who could potentially help them out. And one area where at least Pro Football Focus has graded Darron Lee of being very good in is in coverage. Of course, he's very athletic. He got an 84.8 coverage grade by Pro Football Focus last year and graded out as the 24th best linebacker at his position. Now, his run defense is pretty poor. It only graded as a 55, and his pass rush, he basically doesn't exist. He's kind of more of an athletic linebacker. He is a guy that's supposed to be a good sideline-to-sideline tackler, a good cover guy, and that's probably what he's going to do in this defense. He's going to be a third down specialist, most likely. He's going to be a cover linebacker, 6'1", 232. He's not very big, but he moves very quickly. He's only 24 years old, so there's still plenty of time to get this guy and get this potential out of him. We've seen a lot of linebackers, especially, that's a position of scheme. That's a position of being in the right defense, in the right moment, in the right position at the right time. And hopefully on this new team in the Chiefs, with this new defense that they're trying to run, I really do believe that it could be a new start for him. It never really seemed like he fit in that 3-4 scheme sort of base defense that the Jets were running. And now in more of a 4-3 base scheme with Steve Spagnuolo for the Chiefs, I think he could do better in that scheme because he is more fit from a body perspective, from a player perspective in that scheme. Now, as a Jet, he played 12 games last year, totaling 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 5 pass deflections, 74 tackles. He had a lot of playing time over these past 3 years. Of course, he was a first-round pick, so they expected him to be a starter. He just wasn't really an adequate starter in some areas of the game, specifically run defense. But when I look at what the Chiefs want from him, I'm looking at a player that, of course, had 3 interceptions and a touchdown last year in coverage. He had 3 sacks in 2017 and 67 tackles. 94 combined, 67 solo, 70 combined in 2016, 1 sack, 3 pass deflections in his rookie season 2016. So he's only been around in the NFL for 3 seasons. This is his 4th season. This is basically his make or break season. If he's good, he'll stick around with the Chiefs. If he's not good, he'll be probably out of the NFL in a couple of years. Maybe somebody will give him a contract, but he's probably going to have to be a special team contributor as well as a coverage guy for the Chiefs. When I'm looking at how he'll play in this Chiefs defense, I see that they have Reggie Ragland, they have Anthony Hitchens, who they signed to a huge contract, I think just a season ago. Behind him, they have Damian Wilson, who's not terrible. They have a couple other guys, but none of them are very relevant to the conversation of contributing to this interior, inside linebacker role of what the Chiefs want. So I could see Lee starting a little bit beside Ragland and Hitchens in this 4-3 scheme, on first and second down, even though I think he would be better off playing and taking the spot of Reggie Ragland on third down as a pass coverage guy, or even Anthony Hitchens if they need him to. But today in the NFL, you're really not finding guys to play all 3 downs. It's very rare. It's a very good player, a very good linebacker that can play on all 3 downs. That's not something that's really typical. You know, you'll see a guy play 2 downs, especially on a team like the Chiefs that don't really have great linebackers. Like, you'll see Luke Kuechly, Bobby Wagner, CJ Mosley. That's why these guys are so valuable. They play all 3 downs. They're leaders on the team. They can do a lot of different things. They can fit a lot of different schemes. But in terms of the Chiefs, I mean, Reggie Ragland, Anthony Hitchens, these guys are mostly run stuffers, run stoppers. That's at least their reputation, especially Reggie Ragland. Reggie Ragland's a little bit slower. He's not very athletic. Anthony Hitchens is a little bit more of a do-it-all guy. But Ragland could come off the field on third down. You can play some with Darron Lee, and that's going to add some athleticism, add some coverage to your linebacking core, and add some speed to your linebacking core to hopefully cover, you know, the James Whites and some of the tight ends that are in the NFL that you're going to have to play against as the Chiefs. So overall, I think this was a good trade for both sides. The Jets just letting go of a player. Interesting to see how Adam Gase is quickly getting after this. And then for the Chiefs, they get a player that can probably come in and contribute right away, at least in a role of coverage, if not be a starter and even possibly more. We'll see if he can live up to that potential that he had in the first round, but it's worth the risk of a 6th round pick in 2020. So I like it a lot from a Chiefs perspective, and I understand it from a Jets perspective. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. We'll see you next time. Peace.